The following episode of TOFOP is rated MA. It may contain Batman references, time travel references, sexual references, lost trains of thought, and mild coarse language. TOFOP advises that the program is not suitable for anyone under the age of 15 or anyone who enjoys succinct, coherent conversation that might actually have a point. Minors must be accompanied by a parent, guardian, or priest. This is John Deek speaking.
Relax. This is TOFOP. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Wil Anderson. I did relax because I panicked for a second. This was Two Guys, One Cup, and I would have to know what the date is. But it is not. It is TOFOP, and you are in charge, Charlie. You are the pilot.
I'm driving.
In fact, I like it more like this. I regret. For those who don't listen to our AFL podcast, Two Guys, One Cup, I do the intros on that podcast, and I think it was only really because Charlie did the intros on this podcast, and we thought, we'll swap it around.
Yeah.
And I do not like it.
No.
I do not like the pressure.
Yeah.
I fuck it up quite a lot of the time.
If you go to the TOFOP YouTube page, and yes, we have a TOFOP YouTube page with about 4 videos on it. But
that's a surprise even to me.
There's a compilation of you stuffing up the intro a number of times.
Yeah, I don't like the pressure. I don't like the intro. It's too long. I put too much stuff into it. I tell you what the date is. That's unnecessary. I don't even know why I included that.
Considering that the podcast normally goes up 2 days after you say the date.
Well, that's actually, I think, why I originally said the date, so that it wouldn't feel like our football views were out of date, even though they are mostly stuck in the late 1980s. But yeah, I think that... I think the idea was that it would place it in a sort of time and space so that if the football news moved on, it wouldn't be like we were ignorant.
Yeah.
Like, for example, one week we talked barely about some racism in the AFL that had happened because it was only a tiny story at the time. But during that day, while the podcast was being posted, it became quite a big story.
Yeah.
And it would have seemed like we had just flippantly moved past what was the major sort of story of the day.
Well, saying the date is essentially the hostage photograph, isn't it? You're holding up the newspaper to say, this is legit.
Yeah, this is today. And you can't hold up a newspaper anymore because they're not going to exist soon.
Well, we did that for the first 5 episodes.
Yeah. And then newspapers went out of business. They were replaced by podcasts. So I guess we were authors of our own destruction. Here's what I will ask you. We don't often talk about your day job on this podcast. I think just mostly out of professional courtesy. It's a family show, and this is not necessarily always a family show. So, but
I would love that if, like in the old days of pre-television when the families would gather around the wireless. I would love it if there was a family out there that listened to TOFOP. Like, kids, it's Sunday night.
Gather around the podcast machine.
Gather around the iPhone.
Right. No, but they've got a wind-up one that they've converted.
A crystal set.
Yeah, it goes back onto the crystal set. Yeah. They've found a way. They're such hipsters that they have found a way to get podcasts through a crystal set. Here's what I was going to say to you was, firstly, you're an actor on a very popular Australian television series called Home and Away. Australia's, longest running? Is it longest running or is Neighbours longer running? It's very long running.
Neighbours would have to be longer running.
How long has Home and Away been going for, though?
I think it's 28 years, 29 years, almost 30 years.
Right. So like a long time. Anyway, very successful 4 nights a week television show, right?
Yep.
Was it always 4 nights? It used to be 5? But you do a double episode on a Thursday, right?
Well, there's a guy who works in TV. Yeah. Familiar with the idea of a double episode?
Right. So, okay, here's the thing that I would say to you is it's not really pitched at me.
No.
And I guess that's why in the entire time you've been doing this. Because here's the thing that actors from TV shows do. Publicity, right?
Yeah.
You do the publicity rounds. You go into a radio station. You do a TV week interview because you're promoting Home and Away. Because that television show wants people to know that it's on and you're a part of it. And people who like you might come and watch it. It's interesting, in the entire time you've been doing this podcast, they've not once asked you to mention your show on this podcast. Clearly, they're fine without our audience. In fact, it's almost the opposite,
I'd say the message is actually the opposite.
We're fine.
Please do not
Charlie,
mention.
We're fine. Please do not bring it up. We don't want any of your crew coming in to our lovely, clean family audience.
They're having a dinner party.
Yeah.
You're going to invite your yobbo mates around to come in and bloody kick shit over.
We don't want your bong-smoking, podcast-listening mates to ruin our dinner party, our family dinner party. So anyway, I don't want to bog down into your work world too much, but this week on the television, I have been seeing a quite dramatic promo that
Yeah.
features you.
Yeah.
Can you talk people through? Have you seen the promo? Have you been getting some feedback about this promo?
Well, the one thing I will say is, because I've been out of the country for a while, I came back into Australia at the zenith of what was a fairly kind of contentious storyline in which my character, Zach, cheated on his wife.
Now, so here's what I'm going to ask you firstly. Now, I don't think it's any secret that Home and Away is not live, right? Like, I mean, and people understand how television works,
Yeah.
that often you're filming stuff that will go on the television, months in advance, or sometimes
Normally
if you're
about
doing...
5 months.
And normally if you're doing like a movie or something, it could be like years
Yeah.
in advance. So people are familiar with that. So I don't think we're giving away any trade secrets of Home and Away to say that, this has already happened, at least in your life. And we're not going to give any spoilers away, obviously. But can you take us up to date with where you are now? Like, can you give us a bit of a backstory on, like, Zach, your character? Like, what was he doing? Who was he married to? Like, just give us a bit of, like, previously on Zach. If this was like the start of the episode and you were going to be the feature character on it, what would be all the highlight things that they would show in that, like, your highlight that kind of painted the picture of you?
Of the character's entire journey over the show, or just the more recent history? Probably the more recent history,
I guess,
right?
like, well, basically what they do on those episodics, right, is they'll do some recap that gives you all the important beats that you will
Okay.
need to know to understand the storyline that's happening now, right?
Okay, so I'd say the latest recap would be that Zach, who cheated on his wife the day that his stepson's wife died.
Hang on, what?
So
So out
he
of
left-
some, like, was he so distraught?
Yeah, so it was a build-up of pressure
Yeah.
where, there's his stepson, so his wife's son had just gotten married,
Right.
and then the day after the marriage, the girl was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh,
so
no.
she was very ill, and
Yeah.
they had a child together. She had a child before they got married, child out of wedlock.
Yeah.
An accidental child, you might say.
Right.
So, amongst the pressure, Zach's wife went to her son to offer support.
Yeah.
And so Zach also said to his wife, well, look, I'm here to support you. But she was so concerned about her son, she actually froze him out. And despite repeated appeals and attempts to kind of like offer his support, he didn't get that from his wife. So he...
Because she was going through quite a traumatic moment.
She was going
I
through
imagine.
exactly. What she failed to remember was only a year before, Zach had lost his nephew and his sister-in-law in an explosion.
Oh.
And so...
I mean, how could she not remember that? Did she not see the series of promos for that? Doesn't she watch TV?
I think she was so concerned for her son, she forgot that. So
Yeah.
Zach was seeking comfort himself.
Yeah, of course he
but couldn't
was.
get it because his wife was so focused on her son.
Yeah.
At the time, Zach had taken some time out to be a writer. He was a high school teacher, but he always felt he could be a writer.
Okay.
And so he started...
I feel like that's where it went wrong.
So he sent a submission script.
What sort of stuff was he writing?
Fiction. So he sent...
Be great if he wanted to be a writer for Home and Away. He was writing future episodes of Home and Away.
Very meta.
He's like, here's one where I cheat on my wife when his son's wife is dying.
And the universe implodes on itself. No, he's writing a novel. He sent a manuscript off, got interest from a publisher, and started working one-on-one with a female publisher.
Right. Now, firstly, let's just back a second because I like where this storyline is going. But wouldn't it be great if, say, for example, the powers that be that at Channel 7 are like, hey, guys, it's been a great run and we've really loved it, but you're coming up to season 30 and we think season 30 would be a great way for the show to say goodbye to its fans. So you've got 2 years left. Do whatever storylines you want to do in the meantime, but that's where we're going to finish. We're going to finish it off at season 30. And they just decide to, like Chance's style, just go fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And it starts with your character becoming this kind of meta sort of, like narrator character of what happened afterwards. And you don't know whether it's real things that are happening in Home and Away or whether it's his like fantasy about like future episodes of Home and Away that he's written.
Well, you've brought us to a perfect point because this week, Zach fell off a roof and almost died because he hit his head, went into a coma. So
Post
this would
or
be
pre-cheating on his wife?
post cheating on his
Okay,
wife. In an attempt to win his wife back, he got very drunk and climbed onto the roof of their house and then fell.
I mean, it didn't seem like a foolproof plan, but...
No. But this would be a great point for him to come out of the coma.
Right, and you don't
And then
know.
his writing career takes off.
Right.
And then he starts writing for Home and Away. And
Yeah.
he's like, wait a minute, am I creating
Hang
these
on.
events? And then you cut to him as a vegetable in the hospital bed in the very last episode of season 30.
Yeah, the last 2 seasons have basically been his head post-coma.
Fuck, that's interesting.
And you don't know whether the whole time he's been home
well,
or away.
You could pitch that. Like, I've actually sat in on the writer's room there just to see, because, I'm a writer, and I was just curious to see how they made this show. And I got to say, like, because the show does cop a lot of
Do you think, by the way, that when you're sitting in on the writer's room, they are biting their tongue
100%.
about what they normally say about the actors?
100%.
Yeah.
Definitely. I know that for a fact. But it was interesting for me to see because... But what people don't understand about that show is they pump out 46 weeks a year, 5 episodes a week.
Yeah,
so
it's
that's
a lot of content.
It's a feature film every year. So you go into the writer's room and they will have a white...
I've been doing my television show for a decade. We have not done 100 episodes yet.
We've been doing this podcast for 7 years.
We have the one set. We have more sets for this podcast than I have for my TV show, and we haven't managed 100. All right, yeah. So they do it. It's a lot of content, and they've been doing this like for nearly 30 years.
So I went into this plotting meeting, which happens on a Monday, where basically they working about 3 months in advance of what actually gets shot. So they will plot out their ideas. That'll be summed up into a beat sheet. That'll be sent out to a writer. They have like a staff of sort of freelance writers. That writer has, I think, like a month to do a first draft, and then it comes back to the studio and the writing department, and it gets edited and rehearsed and all that kind of stuff. But so I sat in on this meeting, and there's like the 5 episodes divided up on the whiteboard, and then there's a list of all the characters and all the locations, and then the restrictions on both. Because
now, here's what I was going to say about that is, how far ahead do the actors know about where their character's going? So is this information you would ordinarily know? So it's not, but there might be some people that you've got inside information after you've been in that meeting. Like you'd be able to whisper mid-scene, you're about to die. Right?
I think big stuff like that, they'll tell you as soon as it's conceived of. Because it's a nasty shock to get. Like, I did work with some
How soon did you know you were going to cheat on your wife?
Pretty early. I actually think when... I think pretty early because they knew that they wanted to do something... they knew they wanted to do something dramatic, but they didn't want to kill me.
And when you're an actor who... like particularly in a show like that, right? Yeah. Where people sometimes not have difficulty, but like people, because of the fact that these people are in their homes 5 nights a week, they see the people on TV as actually the real people in some ways, if you know what I mean. And like, when some people see you sometimes, I'm sure like, to some of you, the people who know you, you're Zach rather than Charlie, 100%. Right? And so... when you know that your character is going to do something unpopular like that, that's going to make you a villain, is that something that you're excited about as an actor, or is that something that you go, fuck. I used to like going to the shops, and now people are going to scowl at me, and I won't know why. And then I'll realize it's because of fucking Zach.
I've had a lot of strangers give me lectures on fidelity and how to...
Have you seriously?
Yeah. Like I flew back from LA to Melbourne for the live TOFOP. And got a lot of advice from complete strangers. I went to the football and I had, because the Saints beat the Pies, and I had a Pie supporter come up to me after the game as I was walking out. And I think maybe he was just feeling a bit frustrated about the loss. But then he basically told me how I needed to treat my wife better, and I was getting what I deserved. All this kind of stuff. I mean, he was doing it in it was an oddly passive-aggressive kind of way. Like, we were walking and just chatting as if we're talking, about nice things, but he was lecturing me. Well, not even me, lecturing my character on how to treat his wife.
Can you pass on to Zach? I know you're not Zach, but can you pass on to Zach that he's not treating his woman good? Okay. So when you're sitting in a writer's meeting like that, do they have... okay, so you've only got certain locations and certain...
well, that's a thing, right? So you'll have a list of the entire cast, and every actor's on a different contract, so their availabilities, how often you can use them, very specific. And you've got 25 or 20 to 25 of those. Then you've got like 6 primary locations, which are available on certain days and not available on other days. And, like you've got to work around, like if it's the surf club, you've got an actual surf club there and they need to do this. You can't be shooting there every day of the week or whenever you want. So you've got all those restrictions. Then you have to come up with 5 like episodes, like an idea for 5 episodes, which carry on from current storylines, which can't be too close to other ideas from a show that's been on air for almost 30 years. Right. So it's hugely fucking challenging. And I remember sitting on this plotting meeting, and at the time it was about a character going on his Bucks weekend. Like, okay, so we know we want this to happen in episodes 1 and 2 is it's these characters go away for his Bucks weekend. You know, what could happen on this Bucks weekend? And so everyone's like throwing out ideas. And I just sort of chimed in and said, okay, well, because, you know, they're all tough guy characters who go on this Bucks weekend. I said, what if one of their brothers organizes the Bucks weekend and they think it's, you know, really cool on this big Bucks weekend with strippers and drinking and stuff. But he takes them on a totally like metrosexual one where they go to like a parlor and they all get like facials and saunas and stuff. And like their brothers are all like moaning and stuff because like, where's the booze? Where's the strippers? And they're like, great, awesome, boom. And it was on the board. And it's like, wait, that was my first idea. Like, don't we need to workshop?
They're like, hey, we're making 5 episodes a week, mate. We don't have time for second ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
If you've got a good first one, like we're not saying if the first one's terrible, we won't go for a second one. But if you come up with the first one that we're all happy with, we don't need to come up with a second one, mate. You know when you can come up with a second one? Next week. Yeah. When we have to fill that fucking empty hole. That's when your second one can come along, mate.
But it's fucking, it is hugely challenging to see how they string all this stuff together because when you've got 25 characters, if you're going to do a storyline about like, you know, like a character becomes an alcoholic or a drug addict, which, you know, happens cyclically on a show like that, then you've got to space them out. Like you can't have it happening at the same time, like, because it's essentially the same issue. The themes and, you know, the lessons you're going to get into are the same. So it's a really limited pool to draw from. And that was one of the things I was actually most impressed with was because they write, 4 weeks is actually quite, you know, a long time to write a first draft of a script. But from that point on, it gets very like, you know, they make changes on the fly and stuff. But that's why they bring in the actors and the directors at an early point where you can sit down and, you know, rehearse those scripts or read through them at least. And then you'll have all your input. And so it actually becomes quite collaborative. Like I thought before I started that, well, you know, it's this big, well-oiled machine. I just got to come in and, you know, just
play your role.
Yeah, just play my role. But they actually welcome and encourage kind of collaboration. And it's one of the things I liked most. What I like most about it is getting all those people together, and it's almost like doing like co-op theater or something, you know, where it's like, shit, you know, we've got 2 weeks to get this into shape. So, you know, how can I help and how can you help? And all that stuff goes.
My dad's got a surf club.
Yeah.
Oh, my dad's got a school.
Exactly.
We can put on a show.
I did try and get you on an episode because we talked once about like, oh, my character's getting married. Maybe you should come and just be in my Bucks party.
The Bucks party, yeah.
And we'll just have you like unexplained.
Even in your scenario, if it had been your character's Bucks party, I could have even had the facial stuff on. I wouldn't have had to be like even fully recognizable. I could have like cucumber on my eyes and like, you know, avocado totally on my face, but that's my cameo. Just laying there, maybe say one thing to you.
Yeah, but my character never got a Bucks party because he's a loser and had no friends.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, he had one friend, this publisher lady.
Yeah.
Up for some sympathy sex.
Yeah. So that's
all right. You're pretty good at learning lines, right? Yeah. Like if you get a script, how far in advance do you get scripts for something like Home and Away?
Well, you'd get your episode like the first. You get the first script probably. Oh God, I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks before you actually have to do it, and then you have just the week before you shoot it, you'll have a rehearsal where you sit down and read through it. You make, you know, director and the cast will make notes and changes, goes back to the writers, you come back with, you know, amendments. So I would say, though, that most actors don't, it's not like you're spending that 2 weeks learning it. You will look at it the weekend before you start shooting because there's generally so much stuff. You can't hold on to all that and the stuff you're shooting at the time.
Yeah, and also the other thing is that I imagine with a show like that, a lot of, you know, and I mean this in the right sort of way, but a lot of it's storytelling, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, it's not so much about your line read or like, you know, the you know, pregnant pause you put there. Although there is obviously room for that within the show as well. But sometimes it's
taking off the sunglasses.
4 of you are just progressing the story.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like here is the thing that we have to tell people. And 4 of you each have a line that gets that across to people, right?
You can always tell a script. And it's not just Home and Away; it's other scripts.
No, a lot of regular procedural TV.
Yeah. But just to read them as an actor, when you can always tell a scene that's like classic exposition, because if there's 2 characters and one character is only asking questions,
right?
You're like, the writer was really fucking running out of time and just had to get this information out. Like even when I write stuff myself, I try and be really aware of when I'm just doing question and answer because that's not how conversations work. Like, I know, I mean, even though you are asking me questions, you're also offering your point of view. You're telling me analogies in order to, like, empathize with what I'm talking about. But, sometimes when you've got 4 weeks to write a script, you can't do that.
No. Sometimes you just got to say, but also from the audience's point of view, sometimes if you can't come up with a clever way to tell people what's going on, just tell them what's going on.
Well,
Sometimes when you're watching something, you go, hang on. Like, because the thing that we all think as like artists or whatever is that, everyone's sitting down paying full attention to what we're doing. But even to really great things, that's often not the case, right? Like, I rewatched the first 2 episodes of Fargo season 3 the other day, even though I watched both of them in bed the other night, because I knew that I was kind of dozing in and out. And oh my God, Charlie, if I had just decided I could have watched episode 3 after what I thought I'd watched in bed, I didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah.
But once I rewatched it, I was like, oh, no. All that stuff was in there. I was just like sleeping through it. Something like Home and Away is on often, I imagine, when people are preparing dinner or sitting down to dinner or like it's family time, those sort of things. So it can't be like, you can't be too obscure about what's fucking going on. You've got to like be telling people what is going on.
And I think they've actually, to use a word that you love, I think they've actually done metrics on that. Because when I first started, I had issues with like, why, like every 2 scenes or every 3 scenes, am I restating my point of view, my objective? It seems odd that my character will walk in and just remind everyone about why I'm here. And one of the people working on the show said, oh yeah, but they've actually done market research on that, and it's exactly that thing. It's on at 7 o'clock at night, so it's a family show. Most families are having dinner, or kids are getting put to bed, or mum's, washing up, or dad's washing up.
Or even by the fact that you're a family, there are people at various levels of their comprehension.
Yeah. So they need reminding, but I think it is also that thing of, I mean, I'm sure some people sit down and really concentrate on Home and Away like it's Westworld.
Yeah.
But I would say most people, it's like comfort food. It's like you have it on, you can tune in when you want to tune in. You can tune out when your characters that you like aren't on. Generally, that's me.
Your tune out time.
Yeah.
Oh, Charlie's on. I can put the peas on.
Well, occasionally, like...
That's what they've actually done, the metrics. Like, they're like, we actually need a few characters so mum can get tea on. So...
Well, there's like on Instagram... There's a lot of Home and Away fans on Instagram, and I'll get tagged into stuff. Not necessarily they're sending it to me, but I'm tagged into it. And often it'll be like a checkerboard with all like the male characters' heads on it. And they're like, rank who's your favorite and who's your least favorite. And there's been a few times I'm like, I'm just going to look.
Don't look.
Every time I'm like,
least favorite.
Well,
I feel like that's your character though, right? Because your character's never been particularly
he's not
sympathetic,
cool or sexy.
has he?
Well, no, he's sympathetic, but he's not cool or sexy.
Right.
My character is he is like we talked about Paul Rudd on Two Guys, One Cup. I'm the Paul Rudd of Home and Away. Like, my character is not the cool bad boy.
No.
He's not the sexy young, high school kid or whatever. He's the dad,
Right.
and the teacher. Like, the voice of reason is the everyman, So that's kind of that's the actual challenge is. When they write a new character in, they decide they want this character, but like the way they write an episode, they just pull stuff together. We want this character to be this, and generally it's to serve a function, Like, it's like we need another bad boy, or we need another authority figure, or whatever. So when you start, there's you don't have much to go on. There's very like thinly drawn lines about who this character is. And
You're an authority figure of some kind.
Yeah, exactly. And so what you have to do, they kind of rely on it. It's an unspoken thing. It's like, we want you as the actor to come in and start like filling in the blanks, coloring it in. So for instance, when my character started, there was a bad boy character, like one of the teenage bad boys was in prison, and I was a prison education officer who kept an eye on him and, got him out of prison when there was a stabbing or what, blah, blah, blah. So and
you got him out of prison by getting a tattoo of the entire prison on your body, right?
Exactly.
Despite the fact that you were actually outside the prison.
He said you could just get a map.
It's like, this is really weird. I've been, I don't know why.
You watched Prison Break.
So I watched the first series of Prison Break originally and really liked it, even though it was an idea that probably would have only technically sustained about the half of the first episode. Like, if it had been, if it had been 8 or 10 really good episodes, that would have been enough, and it would have been great. But instead, they kind of... And anyway...
Well, remind me, because I remember it came out the same year as Lost, Prison Break, and I remember watching them at the same time, and one of them I dropped off, and I can't remember if it was Lost or Prison Break. What's the big, like... What's the end of season 1 in Prison Break? What's the big...
They break out of the prison.
Oh, really? But then how do you do a season? Oh, it's them on the
Well,
run.
this is the point, mate.
Right.
Okay, you know what? Let's have a quick little pause
Yeah.
and let's go down a little Prison Break hole because I think this will be fun because I have started watching the new season of Prison Break.
By the way, this is the only context in which "Let's Go Down a Prison Break Hole" would ever be non-threatening.
I think that we've evolved this podcast in the last 7 years, Charlie, to a point that we can talk about prison without going down a prison hole. Let's hope that is the case.
Let's see what happens.
All right, I've loaded up Prison Break, Charlie.
Okay, great, excellent. Hit me.
All right, so season 1, these are the synopses of the season. Let's skip past any of the actual information about it. But season 1, the first season follows the rescue of Lincoln Burrows. Now, Lincoln Burrows, I believe might even be an Australian. Is he an Australian actor?
Dom Purcell.
Yeah, and he and his brother, Michael,
Yeah.
they...
What's that actor's name again?
Dominic Person? No,
No,
that's
that's
the other
the
one.
brother.
We'll get to him. I'm sure I can just click through and find out what his fucking name is.
No, it's not Wendell.
He's actually a really interesting dude. That guy. He wrote he's gay and he put on some weight at some stage and got fat shamed and wrote like a really interesting piece about it.
He writes
Anyway,
scripts as well. He's written feature films.
and
as
they've
well.
both been in
Wentworth Miller.
Yeah, Wentworth Miller.
Wendell.
And they've both Mr.
Mr.
Wendell. Mr. Wendell Miller. You know that guy, right?
Wentworth is a fucking good name.
Yeah,
Never
Wentworth.
thought of that. I mean, that immediately inspires respect. I always
Wentworth,
say-
little Wentworth Clawson.
Charlie doesn't. Like,
No.
I mean, I'm actually a Charles, and that does, in certain circles inspire respect.
I mean, even like Wentworth would be a good middle name to go with Charles. If you were Charles Wentworth Clawson.
Charles Wentworth Miller sounds like he should be a duke.
Yeah, Charles Wentworth Miller. That's good. In fact, like it actually sounds like a company that George Miller has started with a couple other guys. With Prince Charles.
Larry Charles. George Miller.
And Wentworth Miller. No, no, what was his name?
Charles Wentworth Miller. Yeah, George Miller. No, we need someone with a surname Wentworth. Fuck. They get Wentworth Miller in. They say, but can we use your first name? Because it just sounds cooler.
Because, we don't want it to be Miller. Plus, you technically get your whole name in it. So it's actually really good for you.
Yeah.
It was between you and the TV series Wentworth, but we'd like to go with you because we think it's easier to work with you than an entire TV series.
Isn't that funny? That Wentworth, which is, when I was in the States, that's one of the few Aussie dramas.
Which was originally called Prisoner, to bring it back to Prison Break.
That's right, but that's what I was going to say. Like Wentworth Miller, Wentworth, the Aussie show about prisons.
I mean, it's all making sense now, isn't it, for the conspiracy theorists out there?
We thought it was like a name
We've cracked
of
the code.
royalty, but maybe it's a name that inspires like incarceration.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And full body tattoos.
if in the old days, like, names came from, like, your name was Taylor because you were the local tailor or whatever, right?
Yeah. You were the local Anderson.
and well, probably Anders' son,
Anders,
right?
yeah.
Son of Anders.
Son of Klaus.
Right, there you go. See, it works out. So what would Wentworth be? What would your Wentworth? Because it feels like
What's
it's
your
a name.
Wentworth?
Yeah, what's your Wentworth?
Maybe it was
like
a
a
landlord with a speech impediment, and he's like, "Your Went is due on Thursday."
he was a Monty Python character. Right. He was originally from a family of Monty Python characters.
Yeah.
All right.
Elmer Fudd the landlord.
They've been in a bunch of shows like Green Arrow, The Arrow, and Flash, and that time traveling one, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Know what it's called? What's it called? You know the one I mean?
Yeah, we're all
bad guys.
superheroes.
Suicide Squad in
Tomorrow
a spaceship.
will be heroes.
Yeah, The Legends of Tomorrow.
There you go.
Yeah, there you
Tomorrow
go.
will be heroes. I imagine that's how the fucking pitch meeting went. What's it called? Heroes are all together. And
Heroes in a
saving
spaceship.
The day.
Olden times.
Science hero and
Bad
tough
guys
guy
in a
hero.
spaceship.
Time travel heroing people.
They're bad now, but they'll be good later.
Great guys. Can we just call it Legends of Tomorrow? Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
what
good.
it-
That's
yeah.
actually really good, man.
Time traveling heroes of the future and past and present. Let's be honest.
and they left let's be honest in the title because somebody was just taking really thorough notes. So I'll run you through the plots, the seasons. Anyway, so the first season follows the rescue of Lincoln Burrows, who is accused of
Great name, by the way.
Yep.
First off, like the writer, hats off.
very
Lincoln
happy.
Burrows. He's in a
Burrows.
prison. Fantastic.
Well, he's going to
break out of
a prison,
Yeah.
and his name's Burrows.
Yeah, if his name had been Lincoln Filing Cake,
Yeah. Lincoln Tunnels. Lincoln posters.
That sounds like a gay porn star. Lincoln Tunnels.
Oh, Lincoln Tunnels.
Lincoln Tunnels.
Have you seen the latest Lincoln Tunnels
Mate,
on
he's been
RedTube?
is Lincoln Tunnels left, right, and centre.
I said we wouldn't go there, but I feel like we didn't quite go there. All right. Lincoln Burrows, yep, good name, who is accused of murdering Terence Steadman. Again, pretty good name for someone to murder. If you're gonna murder someone, murder a Terence Steadman. The partner of Oprah. No, the brother of a Vice President of the United States, Caroline Reynolds. So, accused of murdering the brother of the Vice President. So that this has got conspiracy, Charlie.
Yeah.
Writ large, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Lincoln is sentenced to death and is incarcerated in Fox River State Penitentiary, where he awaits his execution. Lincoln's brother, brilliant structural engineer, Michael Schofield. Now,
His brother's got a different name?
yeah, which is revealed
Okay.
for reasons I can't remember, but there's some reason. He's convicted of Lincoln's innocence and formulates an escaped. He's convinced. Sorry, he's convinced, not convicted. He's convinced of Lincoln's innocence and formulates an escape plan. In order to gain access to Fox River, Michael commits an armed robbery, which results in his being sentenced. In prison, Michael.
Okay, so just pause.
Yeah.
So he's got to commit a crime that is bad enough to get to that specific
prison.
So when he's sitting there weighing up, okay, so these are the crimes I can commit: rape.
I mean,
I'm not really comfortable with that. Murder.
I think for somebody who's meant to be the protagonist that people root for in this,
Don't make him a rapist.
I feel like there'd be a couple that they would immediately kind of.
They put.
In fact, they do have those characters in the show, much like putting together your Home and Away episode.
Yeah.
Of course, you are going to have somebody who is convicted of sex crimes in this prison, but they are going to be the creepy character.
Yeah,
This is
not the
not.
protagonist.
This is not time for them to throw that up in
So
the air.
when Lincoln sees his brother for the first time, he's like, "What are you doing in here?" He's like, "I raped 5 people to get in here to save you, man." It's like,
Again.
I really don't. Thank you and everything. I understand. Look,
Yeah.
the sentiment was nice, but that's heinous.
Yeah, I flew a plane into the Twin Towers.
That would be amazing.
Right.
What a great.
Hey, 9/11? Yeah, I did that to get in here to rescue you because I'm pretty sure you're innocent. It's a good plan. I've tattooed the plans all over my body. Everything will be fine. I'm not crazy. I used to be a structural engineer, even though I'm a genius. Don't know why I went into that job. Anyway, whatever. The irony of me flying a plane into a building when I'm a structural engineer.
Yeah.
I knew where exactly to fly it in. That's the problem. Hello, Ramona. All right. Okay. So,
By the way, that is probably the most credible 9/11 conspiracy theory I've heard yet.
I mean,
that the guy from Prison Break.
Yeah, did it.
Did it.
As a practice run. In prison, Michael befriends the prison doctor, Sarah Tancredi, when he pretends to suffer.
I seem to. My vague memory is that she's sexy.
She's sexy.
Okay.
There's a fair chance that they will probably hook up. Spoilers for those who haven't delved into the Prison Break world, but the spoilers are there from the minute that you see them together. The only intrigue will be what is the nature of their relationship.
Oh.
Right?
You got me.
Well, here's the thing. Is he just using her or does he actually have
I really love her.
caring
Yeah.
emotions for her?
Yeah.
To be continued.
Also, too, it does change the dynamic if he has been put in there for like 5 counts of rape.
Again,
Again,
let's move away from the artwork.
The female doctor's like,
I feel like you keep coming back that to a bit too much. Obviously, you weren't getting that storyline up in the Home and Away writers' room. All right. In order to gain prison, he commits a crime, sentenced to Fox River. In prison, Michael befriends Sarah Tancredi. He pretends to suffer from type 1 diabetes in order to gain daily access to the prison's infirmary, where he receives his daily insulin shots.
sorry, how do you pretend to have it? Like, wouldn't they have results or something?
I
He's got some
mean,
doctored results.
Yeah, he's got some plans.
Doctored results. Good.
The brothers' fight to ward off the execution is aided by their lifelong friend Veronica Donovan, who begins to investigate the conspiracy that put Lincoln in jail. However, they are hindered by covert agents, members of an organization known as The Company.
Not ominous at all.
The Company was responsible for framing Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln. They did so because
And
Lincoln,
Andrew Lincoln from The Walking Dead.
they did so because of Lincoln's father, Aldo Burrells, and former connections with The Company. I don't think he's
Okay,
Michael's father.
Okay.
The brothers, along with 6 other inmates, Fernando Sucre, Theodore Teabag Bagwell.
Oh, he listens to the show.
He's a
Fantastic.
teabagger. Yeah, big fan of TOFOP. That was
Yeah.
his backstory.
He loved it so much he started listening 5 years before we were on air.
Yeah, well, that was his thing. And Benjamin Miles C. Note Franklin,
All right, that's too many names. Just pick one.
David Tweener Apolkis, John Abruzzi, and Charles Haywire Padoshik come to be known as the Fox River Eight. Escaped the episode immediately prior to the season finale, so I was wrong. Okay. It did not feel finished with them escaping. That was the penultimate episode. Sorry. I was distracted by my dog. After using their prison industry privileges to dig an escape tunnel underneath the prison. So they tunnel out of prison eventually, right?
You might say they burrowed?
They burrow out in the final episode. The second season, begins 8 hours after the escape, focusing mainly on the 8 escapees.
Escapees?
Escapees, yes.
Or escapees.
Series creator Paul Schurig describes the second season as The Fugitive ×8. Oh, I bet that's how he pitched it too.
I don't mind that. You ring. I mean, that makes
It's
sense.
The
to me.
Fugitive ×8.
Yeah, well.
Too many times, mate. That's too many times The Fugitive. I don't want it ×8. The Fugitive ×3, I'm into. It's too big.
Yeah.
It's too much. You can
Prime
never...
numbers only.
The Fugitive was pretty good, mate. There wasn't actually that much room in The Fugitive for more stuff going on. It was actually a pretty perfect movie. How long is this movie going to go if it's The Fugitive ×8? Oh, it's a TV series. No, this is a good point. Okay. We're back. Here's your check. The Fugitive ×8, and likens it to the second half of The Great Escape. What I'm hearing is...
The Great Escape in The Fugitive.
Yeah, what I'm hearing here is he did not have a lot of original ideas for the second series. He had one really good original idea for the first series.
But hang on. So
He goes, I watched Shawshank, and then I watched The Fugitive, and then I watched the second half of The Great Escape. And I got an idea for the first 2 series of something.
In season 3, a time-traveling cyborg came back. I just saw T2. It's amazing.
It's amazing. Anyway, why are the prisoners blue in the fourth one? The second season begins 8 hours. Begins. All right. The fugitives split up and journey to locations across the country with the authorities close behind them as they each pursue their individual goals. Brad Balak gets fired from the prison where he worked as the main guard and chases after the inmates himself for the reward money.
So that's how bounty hunter.
That's how you get the prison guard.
Yeah.
The popular prison guard character from the first season. That's how you get him involved.
Now,
right?
is he a bad guy character?
Bad guy.
Okay. To me, there is a perfect setup here for him to come into the fold. He starts off, he's gone rogue to chase him down, but then they'll bring him into the fold. That's a great... I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's what I would do.
That's not bad.
Continue.
I like that. All right.
A bit like
that's your
Spike.
pitch.
A
If
bit
you're
like-
sitting in the Prison Break season 2 meeting, you're like...
Yeah. It's like Spike and Buffy meets...
Because that's the only way you're allowed to pitch things
Yeah.
in that meeting. You're like...
It was synonyms.
It's okay, so for some reason they're all going to just be waiting in line at a Chinese restaurant. No, they're never going to get to the movie. That's the bit. That's the bit. All right. So
And truly, you would say that Michael is the master of his domain.
all right. Federal agent Alexander Mahone is assigned to track down and capture the 8 fugitives, but is revealed to be working for the company,
Oh, goddamn company.
which wants all 8 men dead. When Sarah, I can't remember
By the
Sarah,
way,
I think.
sorry, is the company is their like moniker? It's not their official title, right? They
I mean,
didn't
I don't think that's
register
what it says on their cards.
The company, no.
It would be hard to register a company as the company.
Google it.
If what comes up, if I just put in the company.
or thecompany.com.
I like this, by the way, because I've recently, because Australia now is spying on all our emails and everything, and the government can do it. I've recently, as did Steve Jobs, and as do a lot of people who work in the tech industry and all these sort of things, I now have a Band-Aid over the camera.
I got blue tack over mine.
Yeah, I know. This is the world we live in now.
Yeah.
Because I often, for my shows, Google a lot of things that would put me on alert lists. And for my shows, guys, they're all for my shows. Sometimes if I Google something weird, I then have to write a bit about it to justify the fact that I spent 8 hours. To be honest, this whole conversation is just me justifying that yesterday I spent 8 hours on this Prison Break site. The company. All right, let's have a look here. The company Wikipedia. What does it say on Wikipedia? Okay. All right. Organizations. The first one that comes up is the CIA. So the CIA is often known
their
as
moniker.
the company.
Okay.
The second one,
When I say moniker, it's like the nickname, right?
their nickname, I guess.
Cool.
The Society of Jesus, the Catholic Order of the Saint Ignatius of Loyola,
The Jesuits, my boys.
aka the Jesuits.
They're called the company.
The company.
I should know that.
Oh my God, you're a Jesuit.
I
You're a
went to a
member of the
Jesuit
company.
school.
Hang on. You've been a member of the company the whole
I've
time.
infiltrated this podcast from day one.
Imagine if that's what the Prison Break team, they were actually just Jesuits. They were just like, no, we're trying to help reform you.
Give us a boy, we'll give you a man.
But literally in those days, they used to swap boys for men. Not running.
While listening to Boys
To
to Men,
Boys.
which was very meta.
The Indian mafia.
We have come to the end of the road, and I can't let go. It's unnatural. I belong to you, you belong to me. Sorry.
And the Indian mafia. So they're also known as the company.
What?
The
Indian
Indian mafia.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Do you want to know about the Indian mafia?
But
We're gonna-
of course.
Let's find out about it.
But when you're in India, I mean, if you're at a bar and, you're a tourist, you're at a bar in India and you say to someone, I'm looking for some company,
Right.
you might fucking find yourself in a dangerous situation.
Right. Well, okay. Let's have a look. Organized crime in India is a reference to organized crime elements. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Mumbai Underworld refers to the organized crime network in the city of Mumbai. Mumbai is the largest city and the big financial capital. Over a period of time, Mumbai Underworld has been dominated by several different groups of mobsters. Haji Mastan, I'm sorry, I'm probably getting the pronunciations completely wrong on this, was a Mumbai-based mobster who became the first...
Mumbai-based mobster.
I know.
That's a rapper's pseudonym.
I mean, by the way,
A Mumbai-based mobster.
if you're going to be a mobster, Mumbai is the place to be, right?
Yeah, totally.
This is Mumbai. This is my Mumbai. Who became the first celebrity gangster. So he's they're Al Capone or something,
Right.
I suppose, right? They're Carl Williams. That became the first celebrity gangster of the city of Mumbai. Ramona. Expanding his clout in the film industry by giving money to directors and studios for
this
film
is
production.
fascinating.
So, right, there you
Yeah.
go. It's the classic the mob gets involved in
like
show
Frank
business.
Sinatra.
Like Steven Seagal's later career, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that
Oh,
the big
no,
story
I think his early career as well. I think he's entirely funded by organised crime. Jesus.
Sorry,
Will
I was
just
trying
tried
to lift
break Ramona's
Ramona
neck.
up and didn't quite work out in the smooth fashion that I was hoping it might. Hello.
Ramona
Yes.
is currently inches from the microphone. She may contribute at any point.
She may. She just wants a kiss. All right. So he became the first celebrity gangster. She's licking my neck now. Expanding his clout in and now she's licking the microphone. So, expanding his clout in the film industry by giving money to directors and studios for film production. As Mustan's influence in Bollywood grew. So he was like the big Bollywood gangster, right?
So I imagine that's to launder the money, or is he just a patron of the arts?
Well,
Because, for instance,
bit of both, I
in
imagine.
Australia in the 80s, there used to be this tax break, which was called the 10BA, which meant that if you put money, you invested in Australian film production, that was 100% tax write-off.
Right.
So in the 80s, there was a spate of all these kind of, they call it Ozploitation films, where, on the Gold Coast shot a lot of these kind of things, which were just like, what are we doing? We're making like in Australia's version of like Lethal Weapon or whatever. But it's because, it has been theorized, there was a lot of money in organized crime in Australia. And they're like, well, fuck.
How do we
can
launder
put it
this
through
money?
the film industry,
Right.
and then the tax department will give it back, and then it's official. So
I mean, bring that back.
Bring
though.
that back.
Bring that back.
Hey,
like, give drug dealers and whatever an opportunity to launder money. At least they're putting it somewhere positive. They're putting it into
keep
the
people
stream
in
film
work.
industry.
We've got fucking studios here. I agree.
Give us a podcast break.
Yeah.
That's what the government need to do. I'm happy for a couple of fucking drug dealers to get involved in sponsoring this podcast as a tax write-off. Do you know? All right. So let's learn more about Haji Mustan, or sorry if I'm getting that wrong. As Mustan's influence in Bollywood grew, he began to produce films himself.
Oh, this is
All right,
fantastic.
brilliant.
This is a fucking film. Let's write this down. Copyright TOFOP, I think.
Born in 1926. All right, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so Haji Mustan, originally known as Mustan Haidar Mirza, at the age of 8, moved to Mumbai with his father. The father-son duo ran a small cycle repair shop in Crawford Market. 10 years later, in the year 1944, Mustang joined Bombay Docks as a porter. Well, there you go. He gets down to the... If you want to get involved in organised crime, you start at the docks, right?
Totally.
Like, if you went to any city, like, what would it be these days? The casino? Like, if you go to a city and you go, I want to get involved in organised crime, where would be the place to go? Casino first, and then the docks.
Yeah,
Is there somewhere else that you would go?
No, I reckon casino.
Some sort of nightclub
Sydney,
spot.
We're in Sydney, so there are no nightclubs.
Right, yeah. Well, you have to get in early.
Yeah.
You have to go to a popular nightclub spot at 9.
I reckon the horse track.
Oh, the horse track.
Anywhere there's gambling.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, the horse track. Anyway, so let's get more gambling involved in other things, guys. It only attracts good elements. All right. So he goes down the docks.
Yep.
Haji used to work on the docks. Remember that song by Bombay Jovi?
Hold on to what we got. Put all our money into Bollywood.
All right. He joined the docks as a porter, and from there entered in organised crime.
Right.
He worked in association with Karim Lala, I reckon.
Yeah, it's like that Fuji song, Karim Lala.
I think I saw that Bollywood film about him, La La Land. Karim Lala Jabul, his full name was. Anyway, is this racist to make fun of people's names?
No.
I don't know. That's fine.
They sound funny.
Okay. All right. They might all be Aussies. We don't know. Yeah. Karim Lala, and by 1960 he became a rich man. Okay, he's done well. The richest.
So what was the drug? I mean, what drug?
Well,
what was the
I reckon it was on the docks. It was just like getting shit corruption through on the docks. Well, anyway, we'll see if we can. Here we go. Oh, literally the next sentence answers your question.
Okay.
The riches he accumulated were because of smuggling gold, silver, and electronic goods on which he made millions.
Millions?
No, millions. He even started financing money in Bollywood and became a film producer. Okay, yeah, we knew that from the start of this paragraph. I feel like 2 people have edited this one paragraph. Vara Darajan Madala. You're not helping.
Keep going.
Vara.
No, don't. Let's move on.
Varadarajan, I reckon, on second reading.
Yeah.
Varadarajan Mudalaya, popularly known as Vada Bar.
You realise you have stopped. Like, just keep going.
Vada Bai.
Yeah.
Popularly known as Vada Bai, was a Mumbai-based ethnic Hindu Mumbai mafia mobster.
What? Whoa. Start again?
He was a Mumbai-based ethnic Hindu Mumbai mafia mobster.
Wow.
Triple M.
Yeah.
Came to be known. Who operated from early 1960s to 1980 and accorded equal clout along with Haji Mustang. Okay, right. So this was the other.
He's the rival dude.
Yeah,
so,
he's a rival dude. He's
you got Lucky Luciano and Al Capone, right?
So starting off as a porter, his first brush with the crime world was when he began selling illicit liquor. He commanded a lot of respect within the Tamil community, and he also ran a parallel judiciary where his verdict was the law of the land.
Oh my God, that doesn't sound...
He just set up his own court system. Oh, like they do in The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
No, that's fine, guys. The law of the land was final and binding in areas such as... So he just took over some areas and just was basically like, hey, guys... This is the law now.
Well, that's what Escobar did in Colombia, for instance.
Yeah, what's happening with the Taliban and stuff as well. Like, they go to places and go, I am the law. Judge Dredd. They all watch Judge Dredd. They go, guys, I've got an idea.
Which one?
I am law.
The Sylvester Stallone one?
Yeah, it took him this long to work out what he was saying. Turns out he was saying, I am the law. I think we can make fun of the way he speaks. Okay. I think that's fine. All right. So he ran his own court system, and then... he actually worked in tandem with Haji Mustang.
Oh, shit, they teamed up.
So they've teamed up. Yeah, this is like their Avengers.
Yeah, right.
And so they ventured into stealing dock cargo, because they both worked on the docks. So they decided they'd set up a stealing dock cargo business together.
Steal, as in to thieve?
To thieve, yes.
Okay, right. Not as in the metal.
No, they weren't stealing it. No,
Yeah,
they
as in
were.
it's like, they've gone legit.
They were
They're
thieving
in
it.
construction.
They were nicking it, mate. He later diversified into contract killings.
Oh God.
Well, this is nice when you're like, hey guys, I feel like we're doing good with the dock stealing.
Yeah. How
but
about we start killing
I
people?
feel like, how do we it's like us with the podcast. We're like, maybe we should get a YouTube channel. Maybe we should, like do other things. They're having those meetings as well. They're having like a meeting down and they go, hey, well, we're working together now. We've got some extra resources. This whole stealing from the dock thing works pretty well. Like,
Okay.
maybe we should diversify. Anyone got any ideas?
It does actually make sense to me. Like if you think about it, if you were involved in the criminal world, right?
Right.
And just say you started off Chopper Reed style as like a standover man or a contract killer or whatever, I can understand there being sort of like issues with how far you can grow that business. But if you start off the guy who's smuggling stuff in and then you're sort of building a business, now you're a big wig and you start moving into other areas of crime, you've never actually firsthand had to kill anyone or be in a room where someone's killed. But you've got enough money and resources that you can start handing out contracts left, right, and center because you'll never see it. Like,
well, it's like, like you sometimes hear of footballers who like open a, like a baked potato franchise or something like that.
Smoothies it was for a while.
Right, yeah, smoothies. You get yourself a boost juice or something like that, right? Like, I can imagine you could do that in that world as well. I mean, are we limiting it ourselves? Like, people support us now. People give some money on Patreon. We appreciate that. We're looking for ways to, put that money into the podcast to improve it. But are we limiting ourselves? Should we be going, maybe we should be looking into establishing like a contract killing? Like, I mean, it's not 100% on brand, but I mean...
That's a fucking great idea.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
that should be a Patreon
podcast,
reward
TOFOP, podcast and contract killing.
Well, what we need to find out is like what's the minimum price you can pay to put a bounty on someone's head. I would imagine 20 grand.
Let's not like go minimum. Let's like if we're going to put in a Patreon level, is that what you're going to suggest?
Yeah.
Well, let's put it at a decent price. Like if you give $1 million or whatever, like
we'll have someone killed.
we'll have someone killed of your choice.
But there's got to be some prerequisites.
Because we'd be able to get like someone cheaper. So we'd still make a lot of cash out of it. Like if someone offered like say we said you've got to join at $100,000 a month for a year, and then at the end of the year you can tell us who you want killed, and we'll arrange for them to be killed. I bet we could find someone for like how cheap do you reckon we could get someone
to kill someone?
10 grand effectively though, like so that we're not implicated. We want a professional.
I don't know. Well, I was reading a lot of Chopper Reed books a little while back, and I that was 30 years ago, but he was doing stuff for like 10 or 20 grand. So inflation maybe 50, 60?
50, 60. So even if we got someone good, even if we like splashed out a little and spent like 200,000, right? Got a real pro, someone nice, someone we like,
someone
right?
international.
Yeah,
someone
exactly.
with no idea.
No connections to us at all, right?
A ghost.
Yeah. We put some extra money in. You know what? 500,000.
Oh shit. Okay, we're getting someone real good there. We're getting someone from Russia for 500,000.
Okay,
you're getting one of those fucking Russian assassins.
We're getting like 1.2 million. And okay, you know what? 300,000. I reckon we could
we
spend
want more of a profit margin.
Yeah, I'm basically trying to work out what the right amount of profit margin versus the right amount of
killer.
Like yeah. I want like our brand to be a good brand.
I think
because the thing is, we shouldn't be looking at this as a short-term investment. Like if the first one works out well, then obviously that would be great for other people as well. So then we want like a guy we can rely on. So we want a guy who does a good job the first time, or a woman, and let's not be sexist, so that we can then next time like go back to them, don't we? Or do we want to go to someone new each time?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Interesting.
It's like, you have burners when you're a drug dealer. I think we should not have anything that ties back to us. Like if that guy gets caught on another job, and we've used him multiple times and it looks bad for us that, why has this guy called your number multiple times? I reckon we go for a different, there must be.
But isn't it like,
if John Wick has taught me anything, there is a cabal of assassins and they all hang out at this really cool hotel and stuff. And we'll be able to get more. If we get one high priced assassin, we just get him to make some introductions.
Okay. But won't they be, don't we also not want to cross a high price assassin? Like, would they be like pissed off about the fact that we contracted him for one job and then
I think a mercenary,
because you don't want a mercenary to hate you, to have like bad relationship with you. You don't want to like.
No, but that's the...
This person's a cold-blooded killer.
Yeah, but they're also a mercenary. They're not going to fucking go out of their way to shoot you unless there's money involved. Like you taking money to someone else.
But your future business is their money. So if you're suddenly not using them,
wouldn't
you think that they would be mercenary about that transaction?
Only if they felt that they were getting ripped off or you're taking money out of their hand. But in the first meeting, we sit down with whoever he or she, and say, look, this is a one-off job for you. We may put more contracts out, but we're not going to use you again. This is a one-and-done deal. What do you say? we're dead.
We're
Just
dead.
like bullet to their head.
What happened to TOFOP?
They got assassinated.
Yeah, but not by a fan. That was the weird thing. We always thought it'd be a fan. All right. So in season 2, they all go on the run. When Sarah discovers her father, Governor Frank Tancredi, has been killed, she meets with Michael, remaining with him and the brothers
Hang
to
on,
try.
sorry. So the doctor's dad dies. Is that what you said? Tancredi's...
Yes, her father has been killed, probably
he
by
was
the
murdered.
company, I think.
Oh, right.
To ensure the brothers' safety, Sarah allows herself to be arrested and faces trial.
Oh, well, that's unoriginal.
During the trial, the testimony of former Secret Service boss Paul Kellerman, who used to work for the company-controlled president, exonerates Lincoln and Sarah. Half of the escapees are killed or recaptured, but the brothers make it to Panama. Panama! And then they sing that. Michael, Teabag, Mahoney, and Balak are arrested by the Panamanian authorities and imprisoned at the penitentiary
Oh, yeah. It's just a
Federal de Sona.
Panamanian prison.
Essentially, basically, nobody liked season 2, and they went, how the fuck can we get them back in prison for season 3? The third season follows Michael inside Sona and Lincoln on the outside in Panama. Panama! Sona is a prison that has been run by the inmates and guarded only from the outside due to a riot in the year before. So inside, the prisoners are in charge.
All right. So it's like... I think that's based on fact. I think there is a prison in Panama. There's that book, Marching Powder, which is about a prison... maybe it's not Panama. There's a South American... Maybe it's Peru country where there's a prison which is run like its own...
Well, that's what happened by season 3. The dude who came up with the show had run out of movies, as you've seen, but he'd also read a book.
Yeah.
So he's like...
I'd say he'd done a lot of cocaine.
Right.
The first 2 seasons were a hit. He's done so much blow. He's like, you know what? I really like cocaine. I'd like to buy some more. Hey!
Panama!
We go down to Panama. We shoot. It's fucking cheap as down there.
All right. So Burroughs is quickly contacted by Gretchen Morgan, a company operative who is in charge of operations in Panama, who kidnapped his son LJ and Sarah, the woman Michael loves. He's told that the company wants Schofield. Oh, by the way, Michael and Sarah get together. Yeah. Spoilers. He's told that the company wants Schofield to break James Whistler out of Sona. The season follows Michael and Whistler's trials in formulating an escape plan, as Michael has to deal with extreme tension and Lincoln deals with the company's operative Gretchen Morgan. Sucre gets a job at the prison and to aid Michael in his escape plan. When Lincoln attempts to rescue Sarah and LJ, following a clue provided by Sarah, Gretchen claims to have beheaded Sarah and sends Lincoln a head in a box as a warning. As the season ends...
I've just seen 7. This is all this fucking...
Guys, I've done so much coke, and I've just seen this movie called 7. Anyway, we need a head in a box. As the season ends, the pair manage to escape along with Mahoney and another inmate, Luis, leaving behind several accomplices, including Teabag and Balak.
Fucking teabag.
Sucre's identity is discovered by a prison guard and is thrown into Sona just after the escape. LJ and Sophia, who was captured for a guarantee that Whistler would go with her, blah, 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 blah. Season 4.
Right.
The major storyline for the 4th season is about a team recruited by Homeland Security agent Don Self to obtain Celia. Although the team initially believes it to be the company's black book, it is later revealed to contain information on an advanced renewable power cell. So this has got to be another movie, right?
Yeah,
What movie did they find?
Well, any fucking movie, it's always about fucking clean energy, right? Wasn't fucking Dark Knight Rises about
clean energy? And The Avengers was clean energy.
Clean energy. There's always some fuckhead developing clean energy, which can be retro-engineered to become a fucking nuclear weapon or something.
Over the course of the first half of the season, the team obtains cards to access Celia and breaks into...
So Celia is the name of the book.
The book.
Whatever it is.
Breaks into the company's headquarters to steal it. Sarah is discovered. It's basically about breaking into things or breaking out of things, this show. Sarah is discovered to be alive. She's alive.
Okay.
Thought she was dead. She's actually alive. Balak dies when he sacrifices himself, and I think he was the bad guy. Balak, wasn't he? The one you said eventually would.
Turn. So he sacrificed himself.
So he sacrificed himself in season 4.
I could see that coming.
And Self is revealed to be a double agent intent on selling Celia to the highest bidder. Reluctantly, Lincoln decides to join the company to get it back. So now Lincoln is joining the company, while Michael suffers from hypothalamic.
Guys, I've just been watching House. I've got a great idea for season 5. He just walks. I just
hypothalamic.
Every plotting meeting he walks in, his face is just covered in powder. He's just like, all right, guys, new idea. You're on an island. Turns out it's purgatory.
Hypothalamic hematoma.
Hang on.
Are
we still talking about Mumbai?
I think I've actually got it. I think I've actually got this thing. It's hematoma time. He is treated and operated on by the company. Michael later learns that his mother, Christina, is still alive and was an agent of the company.
Fuck, everyone was working for the company. His dad, his mum.
Who is revealed to acquire Celia to sell to the highest bidder. Everyone's trying to sell this thing to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
Eventually,
on eBay or something.
No one ever wants to sell it to the second highest bidder just because they like them more, do they? Eventually, the series' main storyline of the past 4 seasons ends in Miami, where Celia is recovered by Michael and the team. The general and the company are taken down, and Sarah kills Christina. The last 2 episodes of the season represent the season finale. In the penultimate episode, Sarah is seen buying flowers in Panama with her toddler son. Panama! With her toddler son, Michael, before visiting Michael's grave with Lincoln, because Michael's dead.
What? Hang on. How did Michael die?
Michael died in something company related because he suffered from hypothalamic hematoma.
I thought Lincoln had the hematoma.
No, Michael had the hematoma. Lincoln joined the company and Michael suffered from hematoma.
Oh, Lincoln joined the company. I got that wrong. Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean,
why'd
this
they
is
need
so.
Lincoln at the company?
I don't know, for muscle.
You think a fucking expert in structural engineering would be more useful?
Yeah, but Lincoln doesn't have hypothalamic hematoma. I know there are no doctors listening to this, but if you were, you'd be really unhappy with how I pronounce that. All right. So Michael dies.
If you're an Indian doctor listening to this, you'd just be like, "Oh my god."
Michael dies before visiting Michael's grave with Lincoln, Sucre, and Mahoney. The final episode in television.
So you're
movie,
saying Mahoney? You're not saying Marnie?
No, I think he's Mahone actually.
Okay.
The final episode in television movie Prison Break: The Final Break shows what happened between the takedown of the company and Michael's death. The story involves the incarceration of Sarah in Miami-Dade County Penitentiary, which is where Horatio Caine, David Caruso, also works.
Yep.
That would have been a good opportunity for a crossover.
Guys!
Guys,
I've just watched
Miami.
He's just fucking... His eyes are bloodshot. His septum is completely missing. He's just got an assistant just boofing him.
The story involves the incarceration of Sarah in Miami-Dade County Penitentiary for Christina's murder. So Sarah's in prison. Michael's dead. The General and Teabag. that's a good spin-off series, isn't it?
The General and Teabag.
He's the General, and I'm Teabag. Are in the adjacent men's facility. The general wants Sarah dead and has put a $100,000 bounty on her. Michael hears of the bounty and devises a plan.
Isn't Michael dead?
Michael's not dead, mate. Oh, no, okay, this is the bit before Michael dies.
Okay, right.
Yeah, no, this is telling the story of why Michael's dead.
Okay.
But also, spoilers. Michael's not dead. Michael's also not dead.
No.
Oh, yeah, spoilers.
Oh, 'cause it's a new
But
series.
spoilers, there's a new series. Michael's not dead. All right. The general and Teabag are in the adjoining facility. The general wants Sarah dead, puts a $100,000 bounty on her. That's actually just a giant chocolate bar. Tries to crush it to death.
Got it at the airport.
Giant novelty bounty. Guys, I've just been at the airport. They have giant chocolates there. Plus, has anyone got $100,000?
All his teeth are missing by this stage. Every time he comes in, it's like those faces of meth. It's just those gradual kind of.
Michael hears of the bounty. Well, why wouldn't you hear? They've spent $140,000 on a giant chocolate bar. Everyone's going to hear about that. And devises a plan to break Sarah out. In the end, knowing he's dying from a brain tumor. Oh, well, they could have just said that instead of hammer time. He's dying from a brain tumor. Michael sacrifices himself for Sarah to escape.
Right.
So it turns out, Charlie, he wasn't using her at all.
Oh,
it was true love, and he was willing to die for
Does
her.
it say how he sacrificed him? Like, because I'm intrigued to know, did he die on camera? Like, was it a gunshot or was it an explosion or whatever? Because the writers, when they said, hey, we're going to do a new series of Prison Break, that's the challenge. That first meeting be like, how the fuck do we bring Michael back? And so they'd have to watch the tape and go, well, he got shot, but it could have glanced, or... So, explosion. We never saw him in the building.
Here's what I got to tell you, Charlie. I watched all 4 seasons of Prison Break, and I am now watching.
Fuck, you surprised me. The amount of TV shows you've watched, and you're a very busy man and very productive.
I watch a lot of shows like this while I'm being productive. That's why the two things are happening at the same. Well, I can't watch good TV shows. Right. I still haven't watched Better Call Saul. Because I know that I will need to sit down.
I thought you were going to say Better Homes and Gardens.
I still haven't watched all of Better Homes and Gardens. I've seen the first few
years.
Yeah, 17 years. And no spoilers. Do the Homes and Gardens get better or not? I don't know. They were the best of gardens. They were the worst of gardens. It's one of the greatest stories of all time.
I don't care about just better homes.
Yeah.
I want to know about the homes and the
gardens. And only in conjunction. I don't want good homes and shitty gardens or good gardens and shitty homes. I want better homes and a garden.
Is there in existence a shitty home with a beautiful garden?
Or is it better homes and better gardens? Should it be better? Or is it just
even better gardens?
That should be the reboot. Better homes and now even better gardens. Another TV station should just come up with even better homes.
Yeah, even better homes and even better gardens.
It's a completely different show, mate. It's about the even better ones. So yours is about just ones who are better. That's an incremental measurement. I mean, you can't go too hard at the first episode of the series or you fuck the rest of the series, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You've only got to tune in for the last one of the series to see the best home or garden.
Exactly. Yeah, you wouldn't have the best homes and the best gardens.
Well, not in episode 1 because that fucks like episode 4 because it can't get better.
Yeah.
You've literally destroyed the name of your show. So every year you've only got to get slightly better homes and slightly better gardens. You can't just go to someone who's nailed it or you fucked it up. But we could swoop in on that.
You're right.
Also, you know what would be
it's
great?
Actually a fairly wimpy...
You know what would be great for your garden?
What?
Burying people in it. So we can combine our two side businesses.
That's amazing.
How did these gardens get so good?
Well, and if we get the 10BA back,
all
the production costs are completely...
Write the whole thing off.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck, we may be criminal masterminds. We don't even know it.
In 2015, it was reported that the revival was in development at Fox. The limited series is a sequel to the original series, taking place several years later and features Wentworth Miller and Dominic Purcell, reprising their roles as blah, blah, blah. As well as the return of series creator Paul Shearing.
Who by this stage is completely bald because he's torn all his own hair out.
It doesn't actually have any details about the plot line of this latest series.
But do you know how so you saw the episode where he died. Can you remember how he died, Michael?
No, I can't. That's what I was going to say to you is I watched all of that, but it's been a very long time since
Type in, what's his character name? Michael Schofield. How did Michael Schofield die? Prison Break.
Did Michael... So anyway, in this new one, he's in prison again. And he has a new tattoo on his hand, and I was really like,
oh God.
Well, I guess you watch. You know what? He's like, guys,
I just watched my own
amazing show called Prison Break.
Yeah, mate, you created it. Did I?
First season's really good. The rest of it is terrible. How did Michael Schofield die? Turns out the internet has plenty of answers to that, so everything's fine. All right, here we go. How did Michael die in Prison Break? All right. Prison Break is back on our screens. Okay, great. This will give us all the information we need. After the original came to an end. The show is on Fox with the original cast. Yep, blah, blah, blah. Even the star of the show, Michael Schofield, is back, which is slightly baffling, seeing as he died in the original series. Okay, good. Well done. This is the sort of cynical observation that we actually want from this. Advertising, go away so that I can actually read the rest of it.
Baffling.
Okay, here we go. The new series begins with Miller acknowledging this. His character says, "I died 7 years ago." He says before going on to talk about freedom, then the all-important discovery by his brother Lincoln that Michael may actually be alive and in Yemen prison. As it's been so long since we last saw the crew, you'd be forgiven for being a little bit confused. How did this all happen? How is Michael still alive? There's no weird voodoo magic, it was all a dream.
No.
So, how did Michael die? His actual end comes in a separate movie, The Final Break, a TV special, which starts with Sarah and Michael getting married.
Yep.
It's Sarah that ends up in prison after being arrested on their wedding day for a murder she committed to save Michael, who is now faced with the same task, to break someone he loves out of the joint. Michael sneaks into prison and leads Sarah to freedom, but at the end, there's a locked door that traps them both inside when his key card doesn't work.
All right.
Michael knew this was a possibility. He says he can open the door by creating a power surge to override the system. There's a small problem, though. The surge will electrocute him and kill him. In an emotional goodbye, he puts the wires together, opening the door, but also seemingly killing him. Sarah sees an explosion as she makes it away.
Yeah, okay. Perfect.
Sarah escapes thinking Michael died. Mahone also shows her Michael's medical records that show he didn't have much longer to live.
Brain tumor. I forgot about that.
Hematoma time. He's also given a letter and DVD from Michael that he left behind just in case he didn't make it. The message reveals Michael would have died anyway, as the company hadn't cured him of his disease. They'd only delayed his death. He says he has no regrets, but he's glad they're finally all free. So,
that makes sense. That's not too much of a stretch to bring him back.
Okay, so now
it's not like Coulson in the Avengers dying after getting like stabbed or shot or what was it?
Well, he had to go to Tahiti, which is a mysterious thing that's now in that TV show that I'm still watching. No, I'm still watching. Again, I'm still watching. I think it's got better, to be honest. To give it some credit, I think it actually has got better. All right. Now they're speculating, right here, because this may be before. So this has got no spoilers for anyone who's watching the new season. This is no spoilers. Well, first, he technically didn't die on screen. We just saw an explosion. Yes, he had a brain tumor and he electrocuted himself.
Yeah, go on. It is a funny, like, yeah.
Maybe one cured the other.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking.
Right?
Yeah.
Imagine if they came up.
Oh man, if they turned out that's how you cure brain tumors.
Yeah, I mean, it's a risky procedure, but we've had some success. You know, Michael from Prison Break. No, it's called the Schofield technique. It's entirely plausible the power surge didn't kill him, but just stunned him. It seems he was either discovered by the company or the government or both. He traded his freedom for Sarah and Lincoln's lives. He leaves them along in return for his cooperation. It looks like Michael has been in Yemen ever since. What we still don't know is why he's still not died from his tumor.
Yeah.
Maybe he was cured by the company. Who knows? Or why he's in prison. There's a lot of questions. But Michael, the man who planned 3 great escapes, and we all know this movie as good as 8 Fugitives and 9 Great Escapes, seemingly can't break free of himself. How has that even happened? We'll soon find out. Because he's in the prison, but we don't know if it's actually him or not at the moment.
What do you mean? We don't.
Of course it's him. Well, he's under another.
I
Everyone thinks
assume
he's like all evidence of him has kind of disappeared from the internet.
So the company potentially have done this, faked his death in a way for whatever nefarious reasons.
For some sort of nefarious reason that will be revealed.
And so they're keeping him in a Gitmo type prison where he's been disappeared.
Right, but he doesn't even know. He does or doesn't know that he's Michael Schofield. It's a bit
shit. So it could be a Winter Soldier type thing.
Yeah, we don't know if it's like a Jason Bourne situation or like what's going on here. Like, but they think he's like some like
guys. I've just seen this film with Matt Damon. It's like James Bond, but with like more cool fight scenes. All right, we got it. You want to do season 5 Jason Bourne style?
The Schofield identity. We get it, mate. All right, well, there you go. That's a podcast.
Okay. Fuck. Well, I think we do. I think I feel like we rounded off every fucking topic we talked about.
Yeah. So
we did take a little sidetrack into Mumbai. Mumbai underworld.
I was going to tell you this, that I went to get my. I'm going to Perth to do some shows. Might as well start the plugs, and then I can tell you the story anyway. I'm going to Darwin on Thursday to do shows, to do a show at the Darwin Entertainment Centre. That's almost sold out. So if you're in Darwin and you want to come along to that, to Critically Wil, then please come along. Thank you to everybody who came and saw the show in Melbourne. It was lucky enough to be the People's Choice Award winner, Critically Wil, at the Melbourne Comedy Festival this year, which is a great honour, and I really appreciate everybody who came out and supported the show. So I have Darwin, and then I have Perth, 3 shows. Friday night, down the road from the Bulldogs game, and then 2 shows on Saturday night. So come out in Perth, come and see the show. And then after that, I still have gigs in Nelson Bay. I have gigs in Belmont, Wagga, and then 6 shows at the Montreal Just for Laughs Festival. That's just been announced. It went on sale yesterday. Turns out they announced Seinfeld was on before they announced that I was on, but also I am on. I'm in much smaller print on the poster, but I am on the poster. So what I would say is those shows are probably on sale by the time you're hearing this. If you are going to be in Montreal at the end of July at the Just the Last Festival, I'm doing 6 shows. That's the longest run of shows I've ever done there. 6 shows of Critically Wil. So please come along and tell your friends if you know anyone who's in Montreal, if you know anyone who's going to be in the area. That's a lot of shows. The most of my own solo show I've ever done there is 1 per festival, and they've booked me to do 6 this time. So
it's 6 times a fugitive.
it is 6 times my previous work. So I think that's going to be really fun, but it'd be great if you could come out and see that. So that's my plugs. And we also have a
Patreon page, which is the way you can help support the show. Enables us to have a producer, enables us to have artists like James Fosdyke do amazing comic strips for us. And
he does a little 3-panel comic strip.
Just whips it up. Only takes him, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Easiest thing you ever see.
Yeah.
And you can see that.
A little scribble, a little 3-panel scribble.
Yeah. Just knocks it out. But you can see that on our Patreon page for as little as $1 a month.
A little as $1.
$1 a month. Like
$1.
What's that? 30 cents. So that's what, like three
a
cents
month
every day? 3 cents.
Man, I thought you were just going to go to weekly. And I was like, why are you taking so long to work this out? But then when you went to daily, I was like, that's why. Because it's actually quite hard maths. But yeah, sure. That sounds right.
As little as $1 a month, you can support us. You can also donate up to whatever amount you feel comfortable with.
$100,000 a month will get you someone murdered professionally.
That's right. Yeah, we've got to discuss
minimum 12 months. We'll have to talk to some lawyers, I guess.
First.
Well, a lawyer. We need to find ourselves a dodgy lawyer.
Yeah,
that's what we do need. We need a better Call Saul style character.
We need one of those kind of underbelly lawyers, the ones who always defend colourful identities. Normally they have loud suits and shit.
Yeah, you know what? We'll just look at some recent bikie trial, and we'll just call the guy who's in the photo next to the bikies.
So that's one way you can support the show. And you can also support us on iTunes by rating the show or leaving a comment. There's some kind of algorithm. I don't know how it works, but if you get chatting about us online, it works better for
it helps.
Our iTunes ratings. And our Facebook page. You can go to Facebook, check out TOFOP there. There's a whole bunch of photos and links to things. If you're a fan of the show, it's kind of our default website. We have a website, but we don't direct anyone there because it's under maintenance.
When we finally sort out some finances and this business starts running, once off the profits,
we're going to get slicker.
Contract killers. Not much slicker probably, but slightly slicker.
Yeah, lower your expectations.
Yes.
I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Wil Anderson.